Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something pretty urgent. It's an open letter from Cambodia alleging, and this is a direct quote, open and deliberate military aggression by Thailand starting on December 7th, 2025.
And this is so important because the letter lays out Cambodia's entire framework for this conflict. Our job here is to really break down the five fundamental truths they present so you can understand what's at stake for international law if these claims hold up.
Oh, because we're not talking about a simple border skirmish here.
Not at all.
They're claiming this is a planned war, land, air, naval forces all deployed at once. And the targets aren't just military. They're talking about civilians, temples, even historic monuments.
Exactly. So let's get into the evidence they're using to back this up, starting with their arguments about, capacity and intent.
So their first and fourth claims are tied together. They basically argue that Cambodia can't be the aggressor, logically. They say, look, we're a small country, maybe 3 times less powerful than Thailand.
And they point to their diplomatic record.
Yeah, they cite the ceasefire from back in July 2025 and a joint declaration in October, saying they've consistently pushed for peace.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because they pull their recent history right into the argument. I mean, Cambodia was just torn apart by war and genocide from 1970 to 1998.
It's a whole generation scarred by it.
Right. And since then, their entire national priority has been peace. They won the World Peace Prize in 2021, an ASEAN Award in 2025 for it. So their argument is, why would a country with that specific history start a war with a much bigger neighbor? It just doesn't make sense.
Okay, that's a powerful argument for sure. But does relying on history really address the immediate military facts on the ground? Where's the legal standing in all this?
Well, that's a great question, and it leads perfectly into their next set of claims, numbers 2 and 3. This is where they frame it as a clash between law and force.
The legal basis.
The legal basis. Cambodia's position is that they follow internationally recognized treaties, specifically the old Franco-Siamese treaties from 1904 and 1907.
Wow, so over a century of established boundaries.
Exactly. And they point out that those were reaffirmed in a Memorandum of Understanding as recently as 2000. They contrast that with Thailand, which they allege is using its own unilateral maps that nobody else recognizes.
And they have a history of using legal channels, right?
That's the core of it. They keep going back to the International Court of Justice, the ICJ. The court ruled in their favor on the Priyavahir area in 1962 and then again in 2013. So the question they pose is, why abandon decades of winning through legal means to start a war you can't possibly win?
Right. But all that legal groundwork gets, a bit overshadowed by their final claim, which is about the sheer scale of the alleged attacks.
This is the part that's truly alarming.
The letter details publicly ordered Thai offensives using some serious hardware. We're talking F-16 and Gripen fighter jets, cluster munitions, armed drones, heavy artillery.
And that really raises the question of proportionality, doesn't it? According to the letter, these operations stretch along more than 800 kilometers of border, with incursions going, 80 to 90 kilometers deep into Cambodia?
That's a massive area of operations.
It's staggering. And crucially, they stress the non-military targets. Schools, homes, refugee camps, World Heritage sites. Their point is that this can't possibly be described as self-defense.
So when you boil it all down, the message from Cambodia is pretty blunt. They're calling this a manifest armed aggression, a complete violation of sovereignty.
And that's really the question they pose to the international community. The letter explicitly says that silence or inaction basically legitimizes using force over law. So we'll leave you with this thought. What is the fate of a country relying entirely on treaties and international court rulings tell us about the real credibility of the global order today?